And welcome back to the hottest marriage show in the world. It is I, John D. and Kanika, a.k.a. And Too Much Podcast. Good morning, my love. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you for asking.
Good.
Well, I'd say absolutely fantastic. Maybe that's just a scripted response.
Oh.
But I am doing well. Absolutely. Fantastic. Things could always improve.
Okay.
But I know that we had to skip a week because you had a wonderful weekend with the ladies last week.
I did.
How was the trip overall for you? Was it a good break for you?
You know, honestly, I don't think I needed a break. I know for those who parent smaller kids, you need a minute. And I think at least 3 out of the 6 women who were with me all had small kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see them. They were having a great time. I had a great time, but I didn't necessarily need a break, I guess, because, you know, the older they get, the more you're kind of doing your own thing anyway.
Yeah.
But it was great to be around a lot of positive female energy. Not that I'm around any negative energy, but it's great to see everybody, so many different personalities, and we were breaking off into different groups. Like everything wasn't all 7 of us.
Okay.
Sometimes you would be with 3 or 2 or 4. But I love those trips. I didn't really know that friend trips were like that. I thought you were like, you did everything together.
Oh, yeah.
But I found out it's the same friend that continues to, look, I said, please just plan every trip I go to, because she makes sure that there's a variety of things, and you may drop out of one activity like, I don't really feel like doing that, but you know, you can always pick up, nobody's mad because you didn't do it too. And it was just really cool. So I enjoyed my time. We went to Chicago, so, you know, I had to get my popcorn, and I've definitely enjoyed that. So I had a great time. What about you guys while I was gone?
Well, it was the first weekend that Darius was here, or maybe the second weekend, but it was just us.
Yeah.
And I think we did a few things. It wasn't nothing out of the ordinary, but you were definitely missed. But more so missed the fact, just because you weren't around, wasn't like we needed you, because the house, like you said, we don't have little kids. They pretty much function on their own. But just your presence. But we were happy for you to be gone, to enjoy yourself, because, you know, she wants a snake, and I was like, you know.
Yeah.
She was like, we're going to do it this weekend, right? I was like, your mother's not here. She was like, well, she said I could talk to you. I was like, let's just wait till she gets. No, I said, I'll contact her.
You did, and you didn't contact me.
No, I did. What are you talking about?
I looked at the text.
No, I didn't talk about the snake or whatnot, but you weren't
yeah.
responding regularly. So I felt like this is one of those things where I had to like just step away, because a person that's on a trip and you're constantly talking to them, they can't enjoy that time. So
that was thoughtful. Thank you.
I definitely thought about that. So that's the reason why I kind of just backed off of it. But overall, I just wanted you to enjoy yourself.
Well, she definitely let me know that you said you were going to contact me, and so she decided that you did contact me, and I just didn't follow through.
No,
so
yeah,
I never.
So I was supposed to tell Day. I was supposed to tell her like you were on a trip.
But I told her we would start the snake journey this week.
Okay.
So you guys can go get that enclosure and figure that out. You guys.
No doubt. And another thing, I wanted everybody to know that, I don't know if I mentioned it on here, but I've been trying to become a platinum plasma donor. I finally reached that. I donated 90 times in a year.
How many lives?
186 now, but I think at the time it was like 184, because now today it will be 93.
So 184 lives
that I've helped at least create a longer life for.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. They say save lives, but I guess saving a life is just letting them live a little longer. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I'm really excited about that, because when I first started, I wanted to complete that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if it was going to be difficult, and it wasn't really difficult. Other than I can't keep the right amount of protein in my body because I don't eat as much meat. But that was like one of those moments where I felt really good.
Yeah. I know you were waiting on that.
I was.
That joker, when they would tell him he couldn't because his protein was too low, he'd come home looking sad.
Yeah,
have
I'm
to
like,
wait a whole nother week.
A whole week.
That's
But I made it. But anything you want to talk about today?
Yes. So, I scroll on Instagram a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I love is this. It's a particular person who posts, and it's like, it'll be them and their friend, and it'll be like the friend that's calm, and then it'll list the zodiac signs of who they are, and the one that you can't trust on speakerphone or whatever the case may be. And I remember, I don't know, I guess let me ask you first, do you, over the years, you've heard the descriptions of people with certain zodiac signs, do you feel like they align with you at all?
Okay, so let me clarify before I answer anything. The only sign I truly remember is only Scorpions, because Scorpions say that they're the sexual being and all of this, they're wild. But that's only because they talked about it so much. But I never got into zodiacs as much. But whenever I read my sign, our sign, I always felt like it aligned similarly to how I thought on certain things. Even when it be like ridiculous things you say, well, not you say, but they'll have zodiac signs with ridiculous things. If you know you an Aquarius, and then like they'll do the extreme things. So I won't say that they're completely wrong, but it's completely exaggerated. Yeah,
but you can see see what they're trying to say, right? So I remember when we were dating when we were younger, I have a friend that's really into that. She'll be like, it's because he's a Capricorn. And I'll be sitting there like, I mean, so I used to read it a lot because you and I are both Aquarius, but an Aquarian. But the thing is we present so differently. And so sometimes, like you said, I'll see things and I'll be like, oh, yeah, that sounds like me. It doesn't sound like John, but it sounds like me. And then there are other things here and there. But there was this guy that said, it's not about your sign. We always say, oh, it's because their sign. He said, no, you're not aloof or hard to tie down in a relationship because you're an Aquarius. It's because of this or that happened in your childhood. Quit trying to make it sound like it's because of this. Like all of these experiences created who you are. It is not because you were born on this time of this month or whatever. So I wonder what you think about that.
I agree. Because we're an example of it.
Yeah. How is it that you can look so all like,
I think the things that we have in common is so general that if anybody was in that sign, they could relate to it. But when you use it against whatever you want to become, it's like you're creating somebody else's words to say that you can't get this because this stands for this.
I'm not outgoing because I'm not a this.
Yeah, I mean your environment didn't like you couldn't be outgoing because I think in order to be outgoing, you have to have an environment that allows you to be outgoing. I don't think anybody pushed you to be outgoing. And plus, like your siblings were so far away from you, like you could create your own being. So if you didn't have the outgoing people around you, you could just be whoever you were going to be.
Well, the thing that gets me sometimes is like my older brother and Dallas have very similar like ideas to me. I remember even when Kari was younger, he wanted to be an architect. There are certain characteristics they have. Even when we did the 16 personalities thing, they have the exact same outcome. They were born, 9 days? Their birthdays are 9 days apart as far as calendar days, but not years, obviously. And so, but their childhoods were different. Their experiences were different. So how am I seeing the same presentation?
I still think that the things are general. Like if you'd have put Dallas in another one and your brother in another one,
yeah,
you could say, I can see how that is. So I think you just have so much information where you're going to correlate what you want to correlate.
I used to read books that would tell me not to ever date an Aquarius man.
That's what I'm saying. Like when people use other people's ideas, it can prevent you from doing anything.
Well, this is the thing. When it was describing why I shouldn't, I got it, but I refused to listen because by then I had already met you.
But you see, that's what I'm saying. You weren't supposed to listen to it. You're the reason what this guy is talking about.
But I just think it's interesting because when I was younger, I used to read stuff that would say don't. But now I read things and it says, you know, we would be compatible because of this, that, and the other. And I don't know. I found that there are a lot of people who have begun to focus more deeply in understanding these patterns that they see in astrology and zodiac signs and all of that other. I guess I'm just trying to figure out how much of it should be just fun or how much of it could be like, oh, that's legit. You know what I mean?
I think it is legit, though. I think that it's legit to a degree. Like if you look at something else and study it, you're going to see what the astrologists came up with. So if you look at enough things, you can see what you probably should be looking at. But if you specifically focus on one area, you're just getting the perspective of these people who think a specific way.
So coming up, you said you've only known about Scorpios.
Yeah, because they talked about it so much.
So did that interest you if someone said that they were?
No.
When you were younger?
No. Originally,
you'd be like, oh, you a Scorpio? Yes.
No, I never thought like that.
Okay.
But I can't think of any that I participated in a course with. But I remember thinking like, that is overrated.
Okay.
Like their sign did not reflect whatever it
what I thought.
Yeah. So like that's the reason why it was so easy for me to be like, oh, this is because everything I've been hearing, this does not reflect what I've been hearing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I had a lot of specifically that because I was looking for that. You hear it so much, and you're like,
yeah.
It kind of just completely threw it out the window.
Oh, I didn't know that. I remember when I was, what was I? Maybe later years in high school, early college, I heard about cancers and how they're extremely emotional and they can be crazy. And my two craziest boyfriends in high school were both cancers. Their birthdays were like 5 days apart.
But see, your crazy is only your experience. Like
my crazy was
you're
crazy.
Now, well, you know, somebody else like, that's all he did? Like that, I'm just saying everybody's on different levels of crazy.
So now when people are trying to date, and I didn't get to date much, by choice. So I shouldn't say I didn't get to.
I think you dated a lot. You were in a relationship majority of your high school career. That's
I
dating.
don't count that as like adult dating, like when it was time for me to really
dating
think of,
is
like
okay.
dating for real.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and so I noticed that not all of my friends, but I have one particular friend who I think she's extremely level-headed, but she will tell me like there are certain things about people and it's because they're this sign. She'll be like, I just really can't deal with those type of people. And I'm wondering, is it a smart way of weeding out certain personality types so that you can find what you want? Or are you closing off opportunities because of
I think it's your mindset.
No. Okay.
Because if you feel like you're weeding it out, that's what you're doing.
Okay.
But if you have the mindset that I'm closing it off, you are definitely doing that also because you could find a gym that's somebody that you're not. So it just depends on how the perspective you're going with, how old they are. If they're older, they're going this way because it didn't work for them before. They was like, you know what? I'm just going to narrow this down. Like that's what it's so difficult with removing the background noise to say what you're really supposed to do if you haven't seen somebody successful do it. Because I remember the Aquarius thing too. I was like, is this really going to work? Like, I just don't understand. Like, people say that it, and then I saw one, it was like, Aquarius should match up with these people, right? But then I saw one, Aquariuses can match up with each other.
Yeah, I know.
So it's like.
Can you? We don't know.
Well, we do know
now we
because we're a part of a small percentage of people that are still happy after 15 years.
Yeah, sure enough. Okay.
Yeah. So to me, I feel like it just depends on the people and how much of the background noise is important in their life.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do believe this. You can make anything work if you do it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
But since we don't do it the right way, we can make anything not work because we're trial and error. So the person that you're doing it with has to understand that, you know, we're trying to figure this out. Because if just yesterday I thought about most relationships fail because men don't know what they're doing. Majority of women will let the man lead.
Mm-hmm.
But the relationship fails because the man does not know what he's doing. And the reason why I'm looking at that, because women, from the background noise I've gotten,
mm-hmm.
all of them want relationships. They want to be loved. They want to have the happiness, right?
Absolutely.
I can't say that about men.
Really? You don't?
I don't think all of them want that. But they think that they're supposed to get to a time in their life where they want it. But they don't want that initially. They think they're supposed to do the sowing
the wild
oats. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and this is typically from men who didn't have fathers, or their fathers weren't good fathers, or their fathers weren't good at relationships. Mm-hmm. So the men have this idea that's the reason why I think men play around so much. Just looking at my experience, I was looking for somebody to make me stop, but I thought it was through sex, because I always had good conversations with people. And then when you have this, it's like, is this it? That's why I think most men can't do it, because they think there's a switch is supposed to go off. But that's ignorance, because the men told him, was like, well, you'll know when you get the right one.
They did.
What?
You'll know.
That is some bull.
And be like, why? Because when we're together, we like a girl. If we like somebody, we be like, you know what? I could see a life.
Look, I can only imagine how you did it, the way you looked at houses. So if you found everything is going to be.
Hey.
You planned out everything.
I did. And you know what? The one that we chose, I didn't plan anything out for that one. Yeah.
Because the things you're supposed to have, you're supposed to just let come and work with it.
I guess, yeah.
Well, that's the way I look at it.
Well, that was a good tie-in. That's very true. I did do that.
Yeah, but I do believe that men need to search for more information on what successful relationships look like. If you don't search for it, you're going to think you already got the answers. How many men in your existence do you feel like made you feel like they understood what a relationship should be? Like, just from interaction, like if you just look at all the men you've met, to me, I can tell from the language now, a man that is interested in really making a relationship work, because my language changed so much.
Well, you know, I don't think people talk to, women, as in me talking to the men in my family or men, I've never really asked them about what makes a relationship work. Or
maybe not ask them, but watching them from afar, how they move.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
But wouldn't it be better to actually have them put into work, like to initiate the idea of really thinking and being intentional? Like, what are y'all doing?
No, we're not. Yeah. We're not being intentional.
Yeah.
Because we just coexist. It's like the passing ships in the night when you said.
I just kind of wonder, now it makes me think, like, I want to ask, I've never asked men to verbalize to me. And my older brother, I guess I wonder if I sit there and I ask him, what would the response be? Because my brother has always been like a loving man. And with his wife, he's so caring. But I've never asked him to verbalize anything, or any man in my family. I wonder what I would get.
So I don't know. That's interesting, because it made me think like this, like, how much do you really know your brother? Now, I know that's your brother. I don't want to say that you don't know your brother. But the way that you described him, people thought about that about me too. Like, I'm so loving. Like, I do this. Like,
but it's different who you're who you're loving toward. Like
No,
like I said, when we were younger, you valued your friendships way more. Like,
but you because you're inside the house, you can see that. I'm saying I
yeah,
heard you're not inside of his house.
right.
So whatever you think you see is still just a glimpse of.
Absolutely.
So this is what I'm saying. I wonder what it really looked like when you said, like, let them verbalize it. I would like to hear it also, because when you describe him, you think he's nothing like your father. He's like, it's one of those things where the things where you say he's nothing like is because of the things that you remember of your father. You don't want him to be associated with.
Well, I think that there were things that they worked to not be associated with. But much like Dallas is with me sometimes, my brothers were very, very close to my mom. And I think that being that way and like living the way we did growing up, I know my older brother was very, very observant as the first child and watching everything or whatever. And we definitely saw in regards to how to relate and love somebody that there were a lot of gaps. And we do watch each other. And I didn't realize it until we were talking just now, but we'll like tell each other, hey, watch out. You know what I'm saying? You need to, it looks like you looking like Harry right now or whatever. Like, we're very mindful of that. But I think that in relationships, we've never talked about that. But I am curious. So when this is over, I think I'm going to have a conversation with them and just ask them, like, how do you, like, circling back to what we were saying before, like, how do you look at relationships and like valuing, what is it supposed to look like? What are you looking for? Not even necessarily, and maybe that's what it is. I don't know the questions to ask as a woman. I don't know the questions to ask to get a man to give me the answer I want. You know, maybe if I say one thing, it's going to be, their response is not going to be what I'm digging at. Mm-hmm. But you've had conversations with a lot of men about relationships over the last few years. And what are you asking, like, that give you the most outcome? And that's for men to have conversations with their friends and for women to turn around and have conversations with the men in their lives.
I think majority of the men that I've interacted with that are married, they wanted it, but they don't reflect. Everybody's like, oh, you guys have a great family and all of this. But the actual work on the inside, none of them are happy. And when I say none of them are happy, like, they didn't, and this is why they're not happy, because I told you before, when men complain talking about women are nagging, mm-hmm. it's things that need to be done.
Yeah.
So men think it shouldn't be done, like it should be done on their own time. But if you look at it like it needs to be done, you won't look at it as nagging, because she can't ask you to do something if it's already done. So if you looking at the background noise, men think that women nag. It's like they always, when every time you're sitting down, they get you to want to do something. Well, if you'd have done it in the first place. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I just looked at the way that how I felt when you asked me to do something. I'm like, but then when I'm like, if I would have done it, she would have never asked. Mm-hmm. And there's a part of us that feel like if we had done it, you would have found something else to do.
You would have just added to my list.
Yes, but regardless, the list is there because it needs to be done. Yeah. So if you look at it like that, so when I look at majority of the men, when somebody's about to get married, don't do it. They be like, really? I'm like, why are y'all doing that? Mm-hmm. Like, so it's almost like, it's like they do it because that's what you're supposed to do. They never truly found the happy benefits of being together. They just see like it's good for the kids. Mm-hmm. We do this, but they're not the happiest. Mm-hmm. So when I think of men, I feel like when men are single, it's a lot of things that they haven't uncovered about themselves to be able to open up to a woman. And so it's like they just don't trust any woman. They feel like women are, I don't know, not considered about nothing that they don't know about. Like when you're young, you don't want to get married because of all these other things. But as you get older, from my experience and talking to people do want to have families. They just want it to be the right way. Mm-hmm. But if you feel like you can't get it the right way, you'll just stay to yourself. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know what? I'm not ruining anything. I'm going to just do this until it's supposed to happen. So then you're not looking for it. Not saying you're supposed to be looking for it, but you're closing it off. It's almost like you made everybody a specific sign.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Kind of. I'm following, kind of.
Yeah, like they want the relationship. Mm-hmm. They don't want to be single. But if you have this idea about yourself, it's difficult to be vulnerable to anybody. It has to look a specific way. And if it don't, you already made it a red flag. So it's easier to stay alone because you're like, you know what? If it's meant for me, it'll be meant for me. Whatever's meant for you, you still got to work for it.
I think that that's the thing that's missing is understanding that once the paper is signed or the commitment is made, like you're signing up for a new job. You're not signing up for like, okay, I'm glad I checked that off the list. And so now we're going to continue to look like how we've been looking dating. And no, because now y'all have shared responsibilities, and now y'all have, so people, I don't know if everyone is going into, I know they're not, everyone isn't going into marriage understanding that really what you're doing is signing up for a new position.
No, yeah,
you're not just, you know, getting another box checked off and then you continue your life and you don't have to add anything or do anything. Like you need to go in knowing that you got work to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe that's something that really should be discussed more.
Absolutely. Just gave me something to think about for another episode. But if you don't talk about the expectations, mm-hmm. somebody's going to fail them.
Yeah.
And if you think that person is supposed to do it and you don't talk about that, it's going to disappoint you even more. And that person won't even know to correct it.
Yeah. Especially when you grow up in homes where even if you grow up in a 2-parent home, if the responsibilities are not equal balanced. Or at least balanced, yes, or if there's not the right communication, you'll think that this is what it's supposed to look like and just perpetuate the same stuff and then be trying to figure out why you feel like you're missing something. But yeah, so.
No doubt. So what's your name? What's your sign? No, but
easy by that one.
Anybody want to give a shout out before we get out of here?
The men who are willing to do the work. Good job, guys.
To all the men, there's a lot of work that you are not aware of because of the background noise that you hear. But if you ever get to the work, you'll appreciate the relationship more than you've read, seen, and then I can describe. So shout out to you guys who are actually doing the work to get there. And those of you that have got there, speak up a little more so others can get there. I want to give a shout out to anybody who's looking for ways to get better, to improve their quality of life. If you're looking for more, you will find it. And depending on your work ethic, you will have a wonderful life once you establish that routine. Y'all make today better than yesterday. Don't worry about anything you can't control. GATA. Get after that action or that action will get after you. Be great on purpose. Boom.